guys, what's up? It's Lauren from the YouTube channel LaurDIY, and today we're going to be making this necklace, and it's pretty nice, looks pretty store-bought, I'd say. Guess what? It's not. So today we're going to be making it right here and right now. So I'm going to be using two types of duct tape. So I've got black and graphic swirl, and then I'm also going to be using some duck fabric in yellow speckled dot. And I've also got some tools to my right here. So I've got some really thin beading wire, a crafting knife, a stirring straw, scissors, a ruler, and a craft mat. So we're going to start off with the beads. I'm going to grab my duck fabric here and measure out a piece that is 7 by 2 inches. And I'm just going to be using these squares on my crafting mat here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Snip that right off. I'm going to set this aside. And then using a pen, I'm just going to mark out every 1/2 inch on the back here. And then go ahead and flip that around and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So marking out every 1/2 inch. And then using my ruler, I'm just going to attach those lines that I made so that we're separating this piece into 1/2 inches. So go straight across, and then just do that for each tick that you made and connect those with a straight line. So now all we're going to do with the first 1/2 inch section is go from this top corner here and draw a diagonal line all the way down to the bottom right corner. And this is going to make the pendants for our beads once we get onto that next step. So go ahead and section that off and repeat that exact same process. And then after that, we're just going to go ahead and cut those straight out using our scissors and not our crafting knife. So now we have all of our pendants cut out. I'm going to grab my stirring straw here, and you want to make sure it's a little bit smaller than a regular straw size and that it has a hole because that's where the thread is going to go through. So I'm just going to peel the backing off my first pendant shape here. So starting with the large end, I'm just going to pop my stirring straw right on the very end here, and all we're going to be doing is rolling it straight up and keeping it as centered as possible. So keeping the edges aligned, and you'll see that as it gets smaller, you just want to keep that centered. And just roll that right up to make your first bead. So go ahead and repeat that entire process until your stirring straw is completely filled up with beads. And if you want, you can actually go ahead and add a thin coat of Mod Podge to that. So I'm going to swap this out for my Mod Podge version. So it just gives it a really nice glossy and timeless finish, but that's totally optional if you'd like to do that. And we're actually going to move on to the stopper section of the necklace now. So using my thin beading wire, I'm going to measure out a piece that's about 27 inches. And then using another piece of our duck fabric, I'm just going to cut off a piece maybe about 1.5 inches long. And it can be the entire width here. So I'm going to set this aside. And then instead of rolling it up on the straw, we're actually just going to roll it straight up onto the wire. So this is going to be the stopper bead that actually keeps all of our beads from rolling off or sliding around. So I'm just going to place my duck fabric down and then pop my wire right on the end here, leaving about 1 inch to 2 inches on the outside so that we can tie that up after. And then all we're going to do is roll that right up. So now that we're done with the stopper bead, I'm going to set this aside and go back to my beads. And if you've Mod Podged it, make sure your coat is completely dry. And now all we're going to do is snip off the ends here of the straw, making sure no straw is visible on both ends. So when you're cutting, make sure you point it down because these tend to fly a little bit crazy when you're cutting them. So now that our beads are done, I'm just going to clear off my crafting mat here and just kind of push everything to the side. So now we're going to cut a double-sided piece using the black tape and the graphic swirl and make these both 20 inches long. Use my crafting knife here to cut this off and then cut an identical piece with the graphic swirl. So now all we're going to do is flip both of these over and make a double-sided piece. So flip this one over and then we're going to sandwich this one right on top. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn this way, and we're just going to cut this into a 1/2 inch strip. I'm using my crafting knife for this. I'm just going to go all the way down. So now I'm just going to go ahead and make slits every 3/4 inch apart here with my crafting knife, and just a little tiny slit, and make sure it goes through both sides. So once you have all your slits cut, I'm just going to grab my thread and bring this back over here. And now we can just go ahead and start attaching our beads and our ruffle. So I'm going to start by applying my first bead here, and we have our stopper here, so we know they're not going to go anywhere. Pop that right on, and then with our first slit, I'm just going to poke this right through here. It's going to pop that right in like that. And we're going to slide another bead on. And fold our ruffle over, so we're going this way this time. And it's going to make a little wave here, and just pop the string back up to the next slit that we made. There we go, so this is what it's gonna look like, and you're just gonna keep repeating that until we have an up and down wave like this with a bead in between. I'm gonna go ahead and add another bead, and then back up through the slit that we had made. You can just go ahead and repeat this entire process for as long as you would like until it looks something like this. And if you want, if you have some extra beads, you can actually just pop those on before and after you do the ruffle. And to fasten this, we just made a little double knot up here and you are all set. So make sure you leave a comment below telling us what your favorite duct tape accessory craft is, and make sure you subscribe to the Duct brand channel for more super fun crafts like this necklace.